We would like to play.
Instead of doing the traditional thing, Nintendo decided to go really weird in the 2000s with the Nintendo Wii, the successor to the GameCube, which instead of going HD like the PS3 and 360, it decided it's going to focus entirely on motion controls. With the Wii's popularity, everyone wanted to get in the motion controls bandwagon. It didn't matter that the Wii was less powerful than the other consoles. The motion controls were fun, and a lot of companies tried to make motion control-based games. Even Sony and Microsoft tried to make their version of Wii motion controls. Not to the same success, though. One of them being Sega, who decided that, you know what, instead of making this AAA Sonic game, let's split the development team in half and make another game just to go on this console with motion controls. That game being Sonic Wildfire. Well, not really. The game actually is called Sonic and the Secret Rings, though for different titles, like Sonic Wildfire, or even worse, Sonic and the Secret of the Rings. A little too much there, isn't that, Sega? As I mentioned in my Sonic 06 video, which I do recommend watching if you haven't seen it, there's a whole series of Sonic videos that go over every game, so make sure you watch them all. Not that it really matters for this one, but anyway. I mentioned in that one that Sonic 06 development was cut in half, and was rushed even worse because of this game. Sonic 6 was supposed to be on the Wii because the console was so different, and they got really excited about motion control, decided to make an entirely new game, which wouldn't be that bad if the gameplay wasn't ass. I'm not gonna hide it, Sonic the Secret Rings is the worst feeling Sonic game I've ever played. In fact, it's one of the worst feeling motion control games on the Wii. You know your game was bad when I was playing this terrible Dora Shovelware game just because I found it for dirt cheap? It had better motion control gameplay than Sonic the Secret Rings. I'm not joking. Nintendo sure knew how to use these motion controls for their games, like great games like Mario Galaxy, which used not too much motion controls, but what it did use, it worked very well. But a lot of the other companies trying to make games for the Wii always could not get it right. There's like tons of these really bad Wii games that have such bad motion controls. Not every game could be Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resorts or even WarioWare Smooth moves. A lot of them were like boom blocks here, where you throw balls at blocks. You know it's a bad Wii game when most of the gameplay requires you just shaking the Wii Remote violently like you're masturbating your dick or something, and that's all you do. It gets tiresome after a while. But unlike in real life, when eventually when you do it enough you come, here it just doesn't ever stop. Now I know that was a disgusting metaphor, but it's the best way to describe how Sonic the Secret Rings feel. There is even an entire tutorial mode that's slow and monotonous to try to teach you how the terrible controls work in this game. Essentially, you use the Wiimote sideways, no nunchuck, and you have to move Sonic side to side by using it that way, which is not the worst thing in the world, however, it doesn't feel right. Whenever starting levels, Sonic just does his leisurely walk before he can get to his full speed. There's no way to change that, since, like I said, you just keep moving forward in this game. I didn't even say that. You can move side to side, but you really can't move forward. You can stop Sonic, but it's very hard to do so because of how he just keeps wanting to move. Even there's a stop button, which is ridiculous. It's even in the game itself. And just overall, it just feels like shit. You have to hold the 2 button in order for Sonic to get up. You can do a slight jump, but that makes you go forward a little bit and makes you not get a lot of air, and it slows you down because everything's slow as shit in this game, even though it tries to be fast, but fails miserably at that. And you have to wait for a reticle in order to hit the enemy. Sometimes it'll even show up and it won't even hit because it's very finicky for how you even use the homing attack in this game. The only thing I wouldn't mind is, like, okay, everything else, which is like nunchuck or anything like that, and you use the Wiimote just to hit people with a homing attack, but even that doesn't work, so you take a while to even get the reticle to work. Sometimes it just doesn't even want to land on the enemies. Now, there are fixes to this part of the game. For example, in the game, there's an upgrade system, and the upgrade system allows you to get this, make Sonic play better. It's not even like unique moves like in Sonic Adventure 2 or 1 where you get like upgrades, like, okay, that you get like a little cool light speed dash. It's not necessary. Yes, it kind of is, but it allows you to add some new gameplay elements. Here, most of the upgrades are make Sonic move faster, make his controls move smoother, make the homing attack actually work. Who the fuck designed that? Probably the worst feature is moving backwards. This seems like it should be simple because Sonic always wants to move forward even if he moves forward at a slow pace. Him crouching backwards is so awkward, it feels like crap. There's an upgrade that fixes that later, but that shouldn't be a feature, fixing a problem that feels like ass, but we get an upgrade later. That's not how these things work. Like, come on, fucking Sonic and Secret Rings. Because this game has such a short life development cycle, a lot of these things weren't able to get ironed out, and for something like this, you need to figure out how the motion controls work in order for to get them right. That's how Nintendo usually works for their motion control-based games. Even then, I prefer not using motion controls. If I have to, I wish they work in better and more satisfying with the gameplay. But for here, instead of feel like I'm really cool as Sonic running through areas, I feel like I'm just automatically running through sections and occasionally just whipping my remote out like a fucking lunatic. So yeah, Sonic the Secret Rings controls like absolute ass, and there really isn't anything else to it. Like I said, there's upgrades that allow Sonic to slow down time and speed up, which is nice, but you have to really work with the levels in order to get them. And honestly, by that point, you have to deal with the shitty controls in order to get the actual good upgrades. So what the fuck is the point? It's a shame, too, because Sonic Secret Rings has some pretty cool level design, well, at least aesthetics that look pretty cool. It's a very unique looking Sonic game. It's based on the Arabian Nights, which couldn't tell by the title, which I guess should get into the story, which I should do right about now. The story of this game is pretty basic, but kind of weird. A genie called Shahara, who's the genie of the ring from the story Aladdin from the Arabian Nights, comes out of the book to find Sonic to help save her world, because this guy called the Eraser Djinn is destroying it. So Sonic's like, okay, give me your ring, let's go. That's mostly it. Eraser Djinn looks like a knockoff Ganondorf. He's supposed to be the genie of the lamp, like the main genie, the one that most people know about. And yeah, he sucks.
You have gathered the 7 world rings for me, have you not?
For some reason, he sounds like that. His voice actor sounds like he's going for an aneurysm the whole time. He just calls Sonic a rat, and that's about it for him. So even though he's a magical genie, he needs 7 world rings, which are not related to the Chaos Rings or Knuckles Chaotix, so don't mind that. He's puts a curse on Shahara, or actually Sonic, as Sonic gets in the way, which makes a flame appear on Sonic's chest. Don't worry, he's not burning, but if his flame goes out, he dies. He seemed to be a very scary thing for Sonic, but he doesn't seem to care about it at all. It's just there for aesthetics, I guess. It's the wildfire. Your goal for the rest of the game is to run for the 7 different courses of the game. There's technically 8, but the Lost Prologue is just a shitty tutorial, so I'm not counting that one. Sonic also meets other Arabian Nights characters, but unlike Black Knight, there's barely any of them. There's only like 3, and they're all played by Sonic characters. This isn't really brought up that much. Like, the king here is Eggman, and he kind of acts like Eggman, but he's a cowardly king, and Sonic needs to save him from Eraser Djinn, who just kind of leaves him with dinosaurs for some reason. Even though that's not part of his goal, but Eraser Djinn is a shit villain, so what you expect. The other 2 are Alibaba, who is Tails, who is just Tails, basically. There's, like, no difference here. He's just wearing some new garb now. And the last character that you meet is Knuckles, who is Sinbad. And that's about it. There's really nothing story-wise. These characters don't even do a whole lot. Sonic saves a couple of them, and they're like, yeah, thank you for helping me. And the rest of them is just Sonic and Shahara finding the 7 world rings. So, yeah, not that interesting of a story. The most interesting thing about the story is that it's told in this storybook style, where it's all images, which is fine if there wasn't a weird filter over all of them. I know it's supposed to look like an old book, but it would have been better if they didn't look so brown and orangey, I guess. Especially since Sonic looks really good in 2D. I mean 2D, I mean a 2D art style, because I like 3D Sonic, but I like 2D art style Sonic. Does that make sense? Anyway, there really isn't that much going on in the story since the game is actually pretty short. So by the time Sonic collects all 7 world rings, it turns out that Shahara is also kind of working for the Eraser Djinn because she has a thing for him, I guess. It's kind of implied, but I don't know why. It's an abusive relationship, but so underdeveloped that it doesn't really matter. If this was any other Sonic game, this would probably be better developed, but for right now, it's just kind of like, Shahara as a character I thought was just okay, so I don't really care about her almost sacrificing herself. But Sonic seems to care about Ganondorf almost killing her. And both Eraser Djinn and Sonic take the 7 world rings, which can go both into each other, and they transform. Eraser Djinn turns into whatever this guy is, and Sonic turns into...
If this is your world, then it's a world that I don't want any part of.
A purple Sonic with the voice of the Werehog, apparently. Yeah, this guy is pretty cool, other than his feet. Just don't look at his feet, they look kind of weird, like they're like his actual feet. Apparently Sonic characters don't have toes, and I don't like to think about that. But other than that, he's got no eyes. He has eyes, he doesn't have pupils anymore, and he's got a race car stripe. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. I don't really know how to feel about this form. It's cool, but kind of weird. It's never shown again, so this is the only time you get to see this guy. So Sonic obviously defeats knockoff Ganondorf, who sucks ass, and then he orders him around like a bitch because he has 3 wishes from him, and shoots him in the gut, or in the heart, I guess. It's pretty awesome, actually. This is pretty cool.
Denied by that filthy rat! Why?
I told you, I'm not a rat! I'm a hedgehog!
So Sonic kills Eraser Djinn. I guess there he blew out his light, and I guess that means he's died. Shahara still has sympathy for him for some reason, so Sonic makes a lovely wish for a bunch of handkerchiefs so that she will never have to run out things to cry on. People actually have defended this scene, but it's so goofy. The amount of handkerchiefs. The only thing I can say is that I wish that these handkerchiefs came earlier because I was crying when playing this game because of controls. Like fucking ass. Like, I was so frustrated that my inputs weren't being calculated right because the game play was so fucking ass. This is coming from someone who thinks Sonic 06 is not that bad, but Secret Rings just really tested my limits. I can take a game that has some bugs and broken mechanics if the gameplay is actually fine, which Sonic 06 I think for the most part is. At least I was able to get used to. I cannot get used to these motion controls because I feel like whatever I did, nothing worked, and it's so painful. Like, why is this taking me so long? And this game is actually really short. It should only take you 3 hours to beat if the controls work for you. However, for me, the controls just never worked. It also has some really bad pacing issues, where the gameplay just feels very sluggish, which is something you don't want in a Sonic game. Even if the game's not fast in Sonic, you want it to go along smoothly, but a lot of times you're side hustling walls and other things. There's so much filler with these texts and load screens constantly. It's way worse than 06. Blowing methods in this game, because they happen way more. I know 06 has very infamous ones, but this one's worse in my opinion, since you get so little actual gameplay, and all this, even if you die, you have to see some of this stuff over again, because if you don't press retry on some missions, you have to see these bullshit things over and over. You have to select each individual little mission and choose which ring you want, which you always will want the first one, since who fuck cares about the other 4, and then you gotta edit that from there, and all this other stuff that shouldn't have been a different menu. And the game feels necessary to show you every time you unlock something new, which there's everything you do, you unlock something, and a lot of times it's 5 things at a time, and each one takes like 10 seconds to get past. It doesn't seem that much, but instead I unlock 5 things, it's 50 seconds. It's fucking almost a minute of just seeing unlocked this level, every fucking time. It's fucking bullshit! Oh, and there's these stupid fucking ring system that you have to go through, where you get, of course, the rings, it's fucking Sonic and the Secret Rings, hardy har. But no, there's these little rings you go into, like that you see up ahead. I guess I should have picked a better clip of the character actually going through the of the ring. If you have to time it right, if you don't time it right, you die, and then you go way back in a level and just go through the slog, and then the slog is terrible. I need to go back and hit more of these fucking rings, and it fucking makes me want to kill myself more so than I already do. Oh, I should probably talk about each of the levels. Well, each level has a bunch of different little mini-missions, including the main one. The first one is the Lost Prologue, which is just playing in that book world, where I guess all the pages are going away because Eraser Jin's destroying the whole world, because he's an asshole like that, I guess. This level is pretty much just tutorial-based stuff. It's not very interesting, and the fact the game requires this much tutorial for just how bad the controls are, really showcase how bad the controls are and how hard they are to understand. I had this game as a kid, and I could barely get through this fucking thing. Like, I can't even get past the tutorial. That's sad. Well, I was able to get past it for sheer willpower. This is just to say that, yeah, I actually had this game as a child. I got it Christmas of 2007 when I was a wee little kid of the age of 7. And you know what? I thought this game wasn't that bad. I liked it because I love Sonic. And you know what? I was going to play anything that had the blue blur's face on it. But even then, I didn't play this game that much, because even then as a kid, I knew the controls were fucking shit. And I was able to stomach a lot of shitty Wii games back in the day, like shit like Pirates Hunt for Blackbeard's Booty, which I'm probably the only person who remembers this fucking game. So it's really sad that game starring my favorite character that I loved a lot as a kid, and still do to this day. I can barely stomach then, I can barely stomach it now. I thought maybe when I got older I'd be able to play this, but nope, it's still as painful as it was when I first played it. Pathetic. The first real level is actually St. Oasis and not Lost Prologue. It's the only level that's actually decent, mostly because you don't deal with much bullshit here. But that's mostly because the whole level is automated for you, which is a problem. A lot of people complain about automation in Sonic games, mostly in 3D games where they go for a loop-de-loop, and you're just like, okay, you're not controlling Sonic for a little bit there because they can't really control the camera that well. And that's fine. Those sections are very short, and they kind of a little break from the action, which are very high speed and intense in Sonic. But when most of the level is just automated, it sucks. Also, the art design is interesting in the game, but it's not even going for the theme. St. Oasis is the only one that really goes to the Arabian theme that the game is implying it's going for, but it really only gives lip service to the other Arabian Nights stories. Even the one that's mostly adapting, which is the Aladdin one with the genies, is not even technically part of the Arabian Nights, even though it technically is, because it's not our Arabic story, it's technically a Chinese story. But I talked about that in my Aladdin review on Disney movie thing I was doing. Go check that out if you want to. But either way, St. Oasis is fine, but oddly enough, a lot of these course designs are not even based off that stuff. It's based off other video game franchises. Yeah, I'm not joking. The actual level decks are based off Prince of Persia, Shadow of the Colossus, and God of War, of all things, which is kind of crazy. I kind of wish I was playing God of War right now, but I'm playing Sonic and the fucking Secret Rings. Also, this game level, not really level, I think a prologue teaches you this, but there's fucking grinding, and the grinding in this game is fucking awful. Easily the worst grinding. If Sonic Adventure 2 is the best grinding, this is the worst one. One, it seems to be really hard to get on the rails in the first place, and jumping side to side of one, it's just painfully bad. It's a shame because from the footage, you can see this level has a lot of cool stuff going on, but you barely have any control of Sonic due to how terrible the controls are for the most part. And there is a lot of cool things, like, wow, I wish I was playing this game with an actual joystick so I could run around this level and actually do stuff rather than Sonic limp around like a little bitch. But no, we have to worry about going into pots. The pot thing is the only thing that actually feels like it controls kind of well, and that's sad. The pot shouldn't be the best controls in the fucking game, but it is. Once you're done on the level, which is pretty short, you realize that you have to go for each of the little sub-challenges, which will be fine as a little bonus thing, but they're pretty much required to get the 7 world rings, but that's kind of random based on which mission it is. They don't tell you. Some of them are actually important for actually story progression, but it's kind of vague. It's like, imagine Sonic Generations of those little subdivisions. Imagine having to go through each one to find out which one can progress the story rather than just going to one. It's like, here's a bunch of other ones that you want to do for extra bonus stuff, which is what they really are for. But in this game, it's like, no, use it little challenges, like don't die or get killed here or find some bullshit thing that's really repetitive and annoying. Yeah, keep doing it over and over again, you motherfucker, until you find the correct one that takes you to the next path of the game. You know how fucking shitty that is as a game design? It's fucking awful. Some of them are piss easy, but some of them are fucking annoying as hell. Like a mini game that says, oh, defeat 20 enemies. That sounds pretty easy, but with Sonic and Sega Rings controls, it's not. Because Sonic likes to bounce off enemies, stay in the air a little bit, sometimes go forward, and then it's hard to go back because of how terrible that control scheme is. So it's not easy to control to defeat 20 enemies, especially when you do a back down. Some of the enemies just like to get hit more than once, which isn't that bad in some other games, but this game, since Sonic likes to go fucking forward like a little bitch, you just can't help but not get them. And I don't even know what the fuck to say anymore. I fucking hate this shit. And other missions are literally over in 5 fucking seconds. This one is literally, you go on this rope here, the beginning, and then you swing over to one of the enemies, and that's it. Who the fuck designed this? Well, they fucking had a half day on that day when they made that mission? Fuck me, that's all I can say. At least it's over quick. So since you don't want to play the missions, you gotta find a fucking guide to figure out which missions you don't have to do. That's not good fucking level design, that's shit level design, that's fucking awful! But from right now, I'm not gonna mention which ones are required and which ones aren't, alright? Okay, you can figure that out on your own. Actually, I wouldn't even recommend you play this game. The next level is Dinosaur Jungle, which looks cool. There's dinosaurs, but where the fuck was that in the Arabian Nights? Who the fuck knows? They thought dinosaurs would be cool, and I guess they are. This level has some cool set pieces, but has some of the most annoying side missions in the entire game. Well, I'm fucking saying everything in this game is fucking annoying. It is cool to run on top of Brontosaurus' neck. I think that's what that is. And surfing on a log, that's kind of cool. It would have been cooler if the controls were an ass, but I think I mentioned that multiple times, the controls are ass, because they're fucking ass. At this point, I gotta mention that the game doesn't tell you how to get these world rings. You have to figure that out on your own, because the game is going to tell you to go to the next mission. Like, each little cutscene will be like, okay, find this guy at the next level, and then you won't figure out how to get the next level, because you have to go to each little mission, and one of the random missions you collect will actually unlock the next level, which is bullshit. And then one of the extra missions will finally unlock the boss for that area. Wow, what great design! Totally not fucking annoying and bullshit. For Sand Oasis, the boss fight here, which you have to fight after, you can fight before or after you do Dinosaur Jungle, is a scorpion guy who's literally just called Sand Scorpion. He's got eyeballs all over him. And this one's basically easy as shit, but it's also kind of annoying because controls suck ass. Because the guy doesn't even know how to attack you, but actually getting to attack him is also a pain in the ass. So it's like you guys can't attack each other. Because Sonic's jump slows him down, and the guy's always moving backwards, so you can't really catch up to him. You just gotta land, you gotta figure out when the best time to land, and then jump onto his little eyeballs, and that's fine. It reminds me of that Goma boss from Zelda. He then faces around like, oh, there's an eyeball that's gonna attack you, but not really, because it looks threatening, but it isn't, so it's kind of like a false game design thing. Like, why does he have a mouth on his eye if it's not, doesn't do anything? That's shit game design. Either way, it's super easy. You'll get your first world ring just like that. But not all of them actually have boss fights there, because, you know, why not? Sometimes you just defeat a random thing and you'll get the world ring, like in Dinosaur Jungle, which has no boss fight. Wow, not even a cool dinosaur boss fight? You think that's kind of a missed opportunity? This whole game is full of missed opportunities, like making the gameplay actually work well. Whatever. The next level is a factory-based level in Arabian Nights. It's kind of weird, but it's all on fire. And apparently this place is going to get rocked according to the music. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the music in this game. Just the guy who sings it, his voice is just kind of annoying and it's kind of repetitive. Even the main title track plays over and over again. Make the rings be born! You hear that over and over again. The Crush 40 version of the song sounds actually pretty cool, but the one that the guy sings is not very cool. Even in the end of the game, hearing it as the main theme, the boss, it would usually be really cool in a Sonic game. Because the theme's overplayed and not that, and the guy's voice is so lame as hell. This is just my opinion. Some people might like it, but I just don't care for it. And I have to hear "Rock This Place" over and over again. Who's gonna rock this place? I don't know who's fucking gonna rock this place. I don't fucking care. I just want to get over in this fucking place. I know I'm mad. This game, I want to be positive, but this game is so bad. I hate the way it controls. I hate slowing down and then Sonic jerking along like he's having a fucking bad leg day or something here. Like he's got broken legs and then waiting for these pistons to go down and just getting bonked on the head constantly because it doesn't control very well. Ugh. Also, because this level, because it's really hot, there's like a whole filter making everything look distorted, making my eyes fucking hurt. So it's not very easy to play through either because of how fucking dumb the design is. Like, okay, you got some heat effects, that's cool. Can I actually see what I'm doing here? Oh no, I'm getting fucking dizzy because it's making my head hurt. Hitting my head, the fucking Wiimotes that to fucking jerk it around all over the place to fucking hit enemies. Unlike Dinosaur Jungle, this one actually has a boss fight. The Ifrit Golem reminds me of the Golem from Sonic Adventure 2. This is actually kind of a 2D section where you have to hit little barrels in order to get close to the top of his head, which is fine, I guess. It's kind of awkward, but oddly enough, the boss fights aren't that bad in this game. This guy looks kind of cool, actually. What? Do I like an aspect of this game? No, that can't be. The next stage is Levitated Ruin. I thought the last stage was bad. This one is even worse. I guess the game developers didn't realize that we were playing with the worst controls possible, so decided to add gimmicks that would work in other games, but because we were playing with shitty controls, it makes it awful. We're in the sky, meaning lots of bottomless pits, my favorite. Not only that, there's just wind pushing you back constantly, which you can't really do much about since Sonic's always moving forward. So he's got to find ways to get him to go forward, kind of. But at the same time, he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to go forward. He doesn't want to do what he wants to do. He wants to eat a chili dog, I guess. I don't know what Sonic's goal in this game is and why he moves like a fucking ass. Also, I really hate his walking animation, and I hate how wide his quills go out when he runs. Like, what is that? Why does it look like that? It doesn't look right. I hate it. It's a shame because this stage looks very nice. I mean, Sonic's Mouth looks like crap, but the rest of the stage looks pretty cool. I like the concepts of this game. I just wish they actually had fun gameplay to go with it. But no, we're not blessed with good gameplay in this game. We're playing Sonic and the Sega Rings and the Nintendo Wii. Of course, we're not blessed with good gameplay. Of course, you could place an emulator on Dolphin and use a controller. I guess that's cool. I did try it, but even then, it didn't fucking work because the controllers are that bad. They can't even map it to controller to get it to work. It's that fucking shit. Luckily for us, there is no boss fight. Why say lucky for us? The boss fight's the only thing that's good about this game. So I guess unlucky for us, this stage has no boss fight. Next up is another aesthetically pleasing level, which is Pirate Storm. We're in a Pirate Bay area. It's a storm. It looks cool. Of course, the gameplay is shit, like always. But yeah, there's little weird guys attacking you. The enemies are kind of weird, like Eraser Jin's little minions. They're like these little weird-looking genie guys, I guess. They're really hard to explain and describe either, but most of them just act the same. Sometimes they breathe fire, sometimes they don't. And that's about it for that one. This stage is just alright. It's not as bad as the previous one, which had terrible fucking gimmicks. It's just mostly walking from plank to plank. They still got back controls and everything else like that, but at least by this point you'll have better upgrades, so it doesn't really matter as much. Like, I should be happy about homing attack swords to balance myself up. That's a cool concept, but because I had to use the homing attack using my fucking Wiimote, it's not so good. Pirate Storm has a boss fight, Captain Beamoth. Okay. Is that it? It looks really weird. It's got a little blue squid thing. I guess it's a captain. You gotta run towards it, similar to the first boss, and then just jerk his horn off, I guess. What is Sonic doing there? It didn't look right. But yeah, this boss fight's kind of repetitive and nowhere near as good as the last one, which was the only thing that was decent. You're just dodging attacks using the shitty controls and then eventually just humping his horn, hoping it would come off, I guess. The next stage is Skeleton Dance, kind of like a cliffside thing where a bunch of bones are there, but it's also snow. It looks aesthetically pleasing. Unfortunately, we are playing Sonic 06. Not 06. Why did I say 06? We're playing Sonic the Sega Rings, meaning the controls are going to be ass. Luckily, by this point, we have the speed up feature. There's two little cool upgrades that actually work like upgrades, unlike the other ones, upgrades which just make your controls work better. There's the speed up one and the slow down. Slow down slows down time. The other one speeds you up, so it skips you through the level, which is great in this game because, you know, the controls like ass. This level doesn't really have much going for it, really. There's nothing really that challenging. The other levels were way harder than this one. It's pretty basic. You just fight skeletons, you bounce on rings, and avoid little other crap in the way. But nothing's like an instant kill or things that make you go back because of the badness. It's just kind of bland. Like wow, I guess they gave up during this point in the game. The final level is Night Palace. This is finally an Arabian Nights theme level. Well, I guess some of them were, but this one really is. We're in a pretty cool looking palace where we're trying to sneak in, I guess, to defeat Razor Jin, because now we got all the rings, or at least we're going to get all of them for the most part. Yeah, let's go in. This level is cool because you get to ride on a flying carpet and go to a whole new world. Unfortunately, it controls like ass, so it's not that great. This level does change up the aesthetics a lot, and it's very pleasing to the eye. The only problem is that you're playing with the controls of Sonic and the Secret Ring, so a lot of the other issues from previous stages are still here. But it seems like early on, if the Dinosaur Jungle and the floating tops and all this other stuff had way worse gameplay and controls, because by this point, they basically stopped giving you a lot of the worst shit. I mean, there's still a lot of awful stuff, don't get me wrong. It's just like a lot of the worst stuff is early on, and then we get upgrades that make the gameplay a little better. It's like not as bad. So the challenge is like not even the right order. Like what the fuck, Sonic Team? We even get to face off against the main bad, Ganondorf. I mean, a Razor Jin, who's got like a sword here that looks kind of weird, but he's going to attack you with it. It's another one of those, you run towards him and he does attacks, and then when you get the opportunity, you hit him. These boss aren't bad, per se, and they work better in this style than the other ones, but it's nothing special. I mean, this is one of the main bosses. This guy, seriously, he sucks. I don't like Razor Jin, he sucks. I don't like him. He's got a bland design that looks like a knockoff Ganondorf. He's got a shitty voice, and his motivation is just lame. He's evil, and he abuses his girlfriend, I guess. What an asshole. And he calls Sonic a rat, so fuck him.
Come, Sonic, and face me!
What's going on here? Well, we're just waiting. I'm just waiting for him to come at me, and then I just hit him in the head. Who the fuck designed that? So yeah, we actually defeat him. Sonic's like, yeah, I defeated you, and that's it. Very strangely, after that, they find a door that they had to open with the 7 rings. Sonic tries Open Sesame, which is actually something from the Arabian Nights stories. I'm not sure if you even knew that. But yeah, they're like, okay, I guess we'll open the door. Roll credits. I know a lot of the final boss fights in Sonic games usually happen after credits for stories, but the way this one's set up, it's only one main line. It's weird to just have the credits right here. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but oh well. Anyway, so the real final boss is really short. You're playing as Darkspine Sonic for the first and only time in the franchise, as Razor Jin takes on this new form that looks insane. He just throws stuff at you, and you gotta dodge it, and that's about it. Unlike the other previous Super Sonic forms, Darkspine Sonic doesn't have a ring gauge. He's gotta charge himself up until he can take out a Razor Jin here. And yeah, that's about it. And of course, what you're gonna be doing is shaking that Wiimote constantly. So that's fun. Also, Darkspine Sonic likes to use his feet a lot. Don't think about that too much. It looks cool, but there's not much to it. Razor Jin sucks, and he has lights on his feet, I guess, and a belly button. That's fucking gross. Fuck you, Razor Jin. I'm glad you get fucking destroyed by Sonic in this game. You can't tell I don't like this character. He sucks. And honestly, that's it for Sonic Secret Rings. There are things in this game that look good. In fact, the voice acting on the Razor Jin is pretty good. It seems like the Sonic 4 Kids cast finally got in the hang of it. This is the first time that Jason Griffith really sounds natural as Sonic, and I miss him voicing the character. That's the one thing I actually got from this game. I think he's much better than Roger Craig Smith. Not that I dislike him either. I just think Jason Griffith was actually a pretty good Sonic voice, and I judged him too unfairly back in the day because he wasn't Ryan Drummond, my beloved. But yeah, that's just weird talk right now. But Sonic Secret Rings is just shit. The game's incredibly short and has a lot of filler in it to make up for that fact. It was honestly a very forgotten game since, there's not much to it, and people are going to pick this game up and just realize the controls are shit and put it back down. It's strange that other Sonic games have gotten this reputation for being the worst ever, and this game seems to go under the radar. But the fact that I've always thought this is one of the worst Sonic games, mostly just due to the controls alone. What's the most important thing about a game? Well, being able to fucking play it, and this game is virtually unplayable. Getting through this game was a slog. The only thing that kept me going was the fact the game is incredibly short. The levels weren't fun due to the fact the controls and mechanics weren't good. A lot of the stage gimmicks were just painful more than anything interesting or creative. While level designs were fun, the music is left a lot to be desired. While some people might like it, I personally do not. The pacing of each level from level is fucking awful due to the fact there's so much pointless things they throw at you in order to slow your progress down, when the game already has very slow pacing due to the fact the controls work very stiff and very stagnant. So there really isn't that much to go for in this entire Sonic game. It's just a shame, though, because they really shouldn't have even made this game and actually focused on developing Sonic 06 so they didn't have as many fucking glitches and bugs as that one did. Instead, we get a game that has, good level aesthetics, a very okay story, but awful gameplay. Easily the worst. But there's one redeeming quality about this game. On the menu, you'll find a second option called Party. Like, what is this? Well, it's what you think it is. Selecting between 8 characters, unfortunately 4 have to be unlocked, which is the bottom 4, that we get to play a Mario Party, which at first might seem scary, seeing as the top 4 characters you unlocked were the main characters in a Sonic Party game from the Dreamcast, which was not very good. But the party mode in Sonic and Secret Rings is actually good and better than the full-on Sonic Shuffle, which is the actual Mario Party made by Mario Party developers. What the fuck's going on here? The strangest thing about this is that the motion controls are actually more responsive here. They are not as good as something like Mario Party 8, but each one makes sense in how they work out, and a lot of them are actually using the Wiimote forward rather than sideways. Why is all this so strange and different than the regular Sonic Secret Rings? Well, this part was developed by a completely different developer. Sonic team did not work on any of this party shit. It was done by a game production team known as Now Productions, which seemed to know how to make better party games than the actual Sonic team know how to make an actual Sonic game, which is kind of sad. There are 40 total mini-games in total, and each one worked pretty well. They're all motion control based, which kind of sucked, but there's a couple of pretty unique ones that are kind of fun to play, especially with multiple players. It's better to play with actual people rather than CPU. When it comes to CPU difficulty, they aren't very difficult, even when I put them on normal and hard. They are stupid as hell if they're put them on easy. I had each one of them as different types of difficulty, and I found that normal and hard were basically the same. They weren't very difficult, and easy was just so super easy, so keep that in mind for playing with CPU. One of the things you gotta keep in mind for this, though, if you want something unlockables, like the 4 bottom characters in the select screen, you gotta play the main game, collect these fire things you've probably seen during gameplay, or unlock a couple mini games as well as the bottom 4 characters, which is fucking bullshit. You can't play the party mode multiple times to unlock them. You have to go to the main game or unlock them, which would be fine in other Sonic games. It would have been fun to play, but since Sonic Secret Rings isn't fun to play, and party mode is the only thing that's worthwhile about the game, that sucks ass. And there's quite a variety of different party games to play. I mean, it felt like there's a lot. There's mini-golf, there's baseball-based games, there's ones where you have to try to hit each other with a ball and chain, which is pretty crazy. Ones where you have to sort little weird-looking slime ball things. And there's, of course, a couple of them that feel like they're straight out of Mario Party. Like this ball game here, where you're trying to bounce people off of bouncy balls, looks a little familiar. I'm not gonna lie. Also, this one where you put air into a balloon also looks very familiar, but maybe I'm just mistaken it for another minigame. Other than the fact that these minigames require a little bit too much waggle and that's a little awkward to control, each one felt pretty responsive. In fact, of all the minigames, I can't really think of one that I remember that I disliked, and that's pretty impressive. How the fuck did the Sonic Secret Rings game have a better party mode than Sonic Shuffle? I will never understand. Some of them are actually pretty unique. Like in this minigame, you have to find a treasure chest that has the most coins compared to everyone else, and you win based on how many coins you find. The only way you can do that is by shaking the Wiimote, which sounds kind of annoying, but each Wiimote has a sound effect microphone on it, meaning that you actually can hear what's inside. You have to figure out which sound sounds like more coins than the other ones. That's a really cool and clever way for a minigame that I don't even think I ever saw in Mario Party before. I like that quite a bit. I think one of the only minigames I didn't like was this flag one, kind of similar to Shy Guy Says, where you have to match a pattern. The reason I don't like it is because I feel like, though, it doesn't respond to how I actually am with the Wiimote. Like, I pressed up and it went fucking down and I lost, which is fucking annoying. Other than that, it would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that motion controls just didn't work for this one. Also, apparently, I didn't even know this, you can use the GameCube controller. What? The hell? The game controller is actually allowed to be used only in the party mode. What? I thought these are all motion control-based games, but apparently not. I discovered this just now. What the fuck? Anyway, what's my favorite minigame from here selection? Well, it's probably this guy. This guy is dancing on a carpet and he jumps up. But each time he does it, you gotta pull it off. But if you pull it on you, you get hit and other characters can steal as many carpets they want while you're in the stun phase. And that's pretty fun to do, actually. Timing it just right to get to the much carpets as you want, without getting it hit on you so you don't get stunned and lose carpet pulls, while other characters can get them themselves. Very fun and very addictive. Though the board part of the game isn't as good as the mini games, I will admit, but they aren't awful. They're mostly just ways just to play the mini games. Like, one of them is you select is just a dueling one, where you just play the mini games with just two people against each other and see who gets to the top after like a little round of tournaments. It's basic tourney stuff, which is just okay for this style of game, but not really that great. One of the more main modes is the treasure find one, where you get to this small board, and based off how you play, you get to move. If you did well, you get to move more than other characters, which is fine, but you stop at whatever treasure chest you find. Getting to each treasure chest isn't that hard. And yeah, you go to each treasure chest to find the items. You gotta find 3 of the unique items that they want you to find, and you can change it by going to a center one of these consoles, which is kind of interesting. So this feels more tedious than anything else. Well, it's not bad, per se. It just doesn't feel as good as Mario Party stuff. There's a more basic board where pretty much the only thing that really happens here is based off how you play. You go forward in the ship, try to get to the end. There's not much there, really. There's some little obstacles in the way, but not really. Basically, if you play a minigame and you see how far your ship goes, and that's about it. It was kind of cool as a kid, but as an adult, there's not much to it. The other one is based off how you play in a minigame. You get to select a chest and try to get as much reward as possible while avoiding little imps in the way, because if you get an imp, you lose all your treasure. And that's fine, but this feels more like a luck minigame in itself rather than an actual board, which is kind of an issue. And that's really all there is to say about the party minigame mode. I might go more in depth, but Sonic Skill Rings is not even about the party mode. It's just a side mode that has a lot more content. It's a lot better made than the actual main game. Which sucks, because most people probably won't even know about this mode, since it's stuck in a kind of semi-forgotten Sonic game that's not very good to begin with. So most people aren't even going to go to the other settings, because they're not even going to bother after playing the game for a short amount of time. So most people don't even know this mode even exists, which is a shame, because this one is way better than the actual main game. You're probably better off playing like Wii Party or Mario Party 8, but this is not a bad Sonic Party game mode inside of a very forgotten game. In fact, it's better than Sonic Shuffle, which is a full-on Sonic Party game. Well, the board stuff isn't really that fun, to be honest, but the minigames are well designed and you can use a game controller for it. So I said, if you ever have Sonic Secret Rings and have some buddies along, why not give Sonic Party and Sonic Secret Rings a try? The other thing good about this game, despite all of this, Sonic Secret Rings actually ended up being a successful game for Sega, because it released early on the Wii that they wanted, and it sold a couple copies. In fact, Sonic on the Wii did pretty well, even though I don't think there's many Wii games that Sonic was on that were that great compared to its contemporaries. Sonic games on the Wii, probably the worst way to play Sonic, at least in my opinion, or in the fact you also play GameCube games on Wii. And Sonic on GameCube was really good. Sonic on Wii, not so much. And Sonic Secret Rings is easily the worst one. As a matter of fact, I think you're better off playing Mario and Sonic Olympic games over Sonic. Sonic the Secret Rings, which I hate saying over and over again. Sonic Secret Rings, Sonic Secret Rings, Sonic Secret Rings. Despite being a Wii exclusive and never getting off that console, the game is surprisingly cheap, mostly because no one wants this stinker. I can see this one going up in price one of these days, but the Wii games just in general are not going up. They're like the lowest they've been, so for a time to pick up a copy, I wouldn't recommend doing it, though. Like, not at all. But you can see it's dirt cheap. Even the special Target edition is actually super cheap, which has a stamp and an extra disc. When I was looking for Sonic Secret Rings stuff, I for some reason found this. What the fuck is this? Why is the nurse from Valiant there? What the fuck? When it comes to ranking the game, I have to put it at the lowest tier possible, because I just do not enjoy Sonic Secret Rings, even though it does have that fun party mode. Even then, it's only fun for a short amount of time, since the boards don't have a lot going for them. And I really can't count that against for Sonic Secret Rings, because it's not even made by the same developers as the game. It's one of those games you're not going there for the party mode, which is fine. If it was just that, then fine, but it's the main game. It's about kind of the main game. The controls are so bad that it outranks everything. It's so bad. I hate it. It's easily one of the worst. It outranks only 2 other Sonic games, only by technicality. Tails Sky Patrol just has nothing going for it, so I don't like that game. And Sonic Shuffle is easily one of the worst party games I ever played in my life. That's awful. And Sonic Secret Rings, like I said, has a good party mode, so I can't rank it any lower than Sonic Shuffle. But, said that, yeah, it's lower than Sonic Schoolhouse. Would I play Sonic Schoolhouse? Yes, I would. At least I can play that game without being pissed off the entire time. Ugh. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is not what I ideally wanted to say. I wanted to give a more fair review on Sonic Secret Rings, but the game just pissed me off to no limit. This is the first of 2 storybook games, and I gotta say the second storybook game is way better, but we're not covering that one for a while because Sonic actually has a shit ton of games that came out in 2007. So yeah, stay tuned for more of those. The next time, we're entering the motion control generation. And boy, there's a lot more to cover. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time whenever I cover next.